And there I was the girl from Suits.
This one's wife. Just massive narcissists. Hello, I'm H.G. Tudor. Charles Switzer writes in the Royal Observer, Prince Harry and this one's wife's Megxit in early 2020 turned them from burgeoning stars to professional, monetizable victims, according to one palace insider. 4 years later, the gig is up, and both royal rebels are reportedly separating professionally in a bid to try and reset opinion. This led conservative think tank director of the Heritage Foundation, Niall Gardner, to share Harry and this one's wife are viewed as just massive narcissists who spend all the time trashing the royal family. He added, most Americans really admire the royal family. The Queen was hugely popular with Americans, and they don't take kindly to attacks on the royal family. All these attacks from Harry and this one's wife, they've gone down very badly in the United States. They have alienated most Americans. This insight follows Donald Trump's landslide election victory on November the 5th. This led one royal and political analyst to suggest their series of misdeeds are now catching up with them. It seems like divine justice or karma that the fortunes of the Sussex bosses have taken such a turn, commentator Lee Cohen told an outlet. Over the past year, bad behaviour and bad judgments have been catching up with them. Now, with Donald Trump's historic landslide last week, I imagine there have been some sleepless nights in Monty Shitshow, he added. Whether it's Portugal, Canada, Monty Shitshow or Frogmore, wherever the Sussexes drop anchor, they seem to wear out their welcome. I don't know if this, Harry's visa, will be Donald Trump's first priority, but it certainly should give some cause for some anxiety in Monty Shitshow. Gardner further observed if Harry did lie on his immigration application, he would have to leave the United States. That would be a criminal offence, and he would be subject to deportation from the United States. Thus some opinions about this one's wife and Harry, with the memorable observation provided by Niall Gardner stating they're viewed as just massive narcissists who spend all the time trashing the royal family. The consequence of this is the suggestion that they have alienated most Americans, and that would seem to be correct because their popularity has plummeted. The invitations are not as extensive as they once were. Certainly for this one's wife, she doesn't appear to be doing particularly much. The pipeline that she referred to some time ago has not come to pass. The content that was meant to be created has not appeared. American Riviera Orchard has stalled, and as mentioned before, the patient is dead and ought to be thrown in a shallow grave. But what about this observation about them being a pair of narcissists and viewed as such? It's still the case that whilst many people are coming round to understanding that this one's wife is a narcissist, most people still talk in terms of their behaviour being despicable, that they are self-entitled, self-absorbed, that Harry is a man-child, that she is a bitch. And therefore there are still many people that don't actually see that she is a narcissist and he has been caught up in her awful shared fantasy. It is, as you know, certainly the case that this one's wife is a narcissist. I have analysed the material to demonstrate that as a consequence of a genetic predisposition, which will have come from either her mother or her father, and the upbringing that she experienced, the consequence is that she found herself in a lack of control environment, and her narcissism was created as a method of coping with that. Thereafter, she has exhibited so many facets of the narcissist. I was the first to describe her as such. I identified it from personal information that I had and also the public information about the way that she was behaving. And since then, you have been guided by me to understand that, yes, she is a narcissist. In terms of describing her as a massive narcissist, well, she is no more of a narcissist than any narcissist. The point being is, once you are a narcissist, you have different types, but no narcissist is more of a narcissist than another narcissist. They are all narcissists. Naturally, some narcissists are more obvious in their behaviours, and therefore, if you're referring to her as a massive narcissist in terms of visibility concerning her narcissism, that's certainly accurate. This one's wife's behaviours are demonstrative. Her rampant sense of entitlement, the absence of emotional empathy, her failure to be accountable, the grandiosity that she exhibits, the magical thinking that she engages in, the haughty behaviours that she demonstrates, the various manipulations that she engages in time and time again, the absence of boundary recognition, her preoccupation with success, the fantastic viewpoint she has of herself, and of course so many different aspects of the narcissistic dynamic all underpin and support that she is indeed a narcissist. With Harry, he behaves like one, and it's understandable that someone would label him as such. This is a consequence of the fact that he has those strong narcissistic traits, and he's easily led. The problem that Harry has is he isn't that bright, and he's been subjected to an entitled upbringing. The consequence of which is that if somebody taps into that entitlement and also the vulnerabilities which he has never properly addressed, it means that he can be easily led. Throw in some spicy poontang, and it's no wonder that the hapless Harry has fallen under the spell of this one's wife. And what she has done is she has caressed his narcissistic traits, bringing them to the fore, so that he has marched straight into the awful shared fantasy with her, with the result that he has behaved in a manner like a narcissist, even though he actually isn't one. There are many people that I consult with who are concerned about their own behaviours, believing themselves to be a narcissist because they have started behaving a particular way, which is as a consequence of the way they were being abused. With Harry, what you have is an existing vulnerability which can be exploited, existing strong narcissistic traits which can be heightened, and an individual who saw him as an easy mark, that he was drawn in, and all she had to do was simply wind him up and point him in a particular direction. The resentment that he experienced towards members of his family she could exploit like any narcissist would do so, because it would make him easier to control and also enable her to nullify the threat to control posed by the likes of Charles and William by separating Harry from them. She could capitalise upon his resentment at being seen the spare. She could capitalise upon his defiance with regard to how his mother had been treated. She didn't do so because she cared. She did so because her narcissism dictated her to make use of these aspects of Harry's personality, and therefore he, seeing somebody that supposedly supported him, ran like the ginger poodle that he is towards her, allowed her to pet him, and he basically then followed her around doing whatever was required of him. Where she trickled poison in his ear about his family, he believed it and responded in kind, his own reprehensible behaviours being demonstrated with regard to the whinging that he engaged in and the way that he spoke about members of his family. Accordingly, it's understandable that people would see them as massive narcissists, and it is demonstrative of the lack of popularity that they both have. And here we have another publication highlighting that, which demonstrates the way that a narcissist behaves and the way that the ensnared victim can behave so that they come across as a pair of massive narcissists with the consequences that flow from that. I'm H.G. Tudor. Thank you for listening.